Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. The federal election is in the books and nothing really changed. The City of Chilliwack single-use reduction bylaw was passed by council. The Chilliwack River cleanup, that's still on for Sunday. As well, Agassiz Speedway hoping to get the final race of the season on the track, weather permitting. Joining us this week are UFV Poli-Sci Professor Emeritus Scott Fast, helping us digest what just happened in Monday's federal election. As well, Matt Paisley returning with the Welcome Matt, your Chilliwack real estate update. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. And as you saw on chillTV, the federal election was almost a carbon copy of 2019. As Justin Trudeau and the federal Liberals retain a minority government, there were a few eyebrow raisers. The People's Party of Canada increased their influence nationally, and in the Chilliwack Hope riding, they had 7% of the vote. The incumbent Conservative for Chilliwack Hope, MP Mark Strahl, re-elected. However, in 2019, the Liberals were second. Now this year, Kelly Valonis dropped to third. NDP's DJ Pohl came up second. We interviewed UFV Professor Emeritus in Political Science, Scott Fast. We'll have a little chat with him later on in the cast just to find out what happened and what did not happen. Now, election fever is not over. Abbotsford has to go back to the polls on Saturday, this time for a civic by-election to add a city councillor. This to replace Bruce Bandman, who left council last year after he was elected MLA during the provincial election. Now, initially, Bandman said he would keep both positions and both paychecks, but the public backlash was so great that he gave up the council seat. Fraser Health sent home a notice to parents of Chilliwack's Promontory Heights Elementary School that there was an outbreak of COVID-19 there. The school is now closed until October the 3rd. chillTV has learned it was a combination of 20 staff and grade 5 students. Fraser Health has asked that students and staff self-isolate. The Chilliwack School Superintendent, Rohan Arul Pragazam, calls this a break from in-person classes, that he was stating, "We've experienced this spike of cases of COVID-19 within Promontory Heights. This was over the past 10 days. School and district staff have been in regular communication with Fraser Health. Students will learn from home online until October the 4th. Following community consultation and provincial approval at the September 21st regular meeting of Council, City Council has adopted the single-use item reduction bylaw. That comes into effect next April the 1st, and this following an education campaign. The new bylaw will help reduce waste from single-use items in the landfill and littered throughout the community. Some businesses are now concerned this may actually increase their spending. Using single-use products like plates and cutlery. The Chilliwack Métis Association and UFV have established the Nick Lang Memorial Bursary Award to honor Nick, a 15-year-old who died in 2015 while in government care. The bursary is available to UFV Indigenous students who are working towards a degree in child and youth care, criminal justice, or social work, and who have a special interest in working with high-risk youth. The idea to create a bursary for Nick resonated deeply with Peter, that's Nick's dad, and currently president of the Métis Association. Peter Lang has sought various ways to honor his son over the years, including volunteering at the Fraser Valley Child Development Center and providing a bursary for one of his son's classmates in the year that Nick would have graduated from his class. During Tuesday's Chilliwack Council meeting, Chilliwack Fire Department's Lisa Axelson took home a rather prestigious award. The Fire Prevention Officer Association of BC awarded her Public Educator of the Year. The award recognizes a member for outstanding achievement and dedication in the area of public fire and life safety education. They are recognized and nominated by their peers, and pictured here are, well, behind the masks, Lisa Axelson and Chilliwack Mayor Ken Popoff. By the way, Axelson is also the first vice president of that association. Chilliwack Citywide Garage Sales back on Saturday. The sale is a unique opportunity for residents to promote the reuse of materials. There are 2 citywide garage sales held every year, one in the spring, the other one in the fall. And you can find all the locations, and there are lots of them, on the city website. The Chilliwack Vedder River Cleanup is Sunday, and that is the muster station at Chilliwack Fish and Game Club as always. Now, only adults are allowed this time around due to COVID rules, and you have to pre-register through the cleanup Facebook page. Organizers will be providing you with the gloves, the bags, and the pickup sticks. It all starts 8:30 Sunday morning. It runs until 1 o'clock. But they do ask that you bring your own rain gear. Cops for Cancer Tour de Valley rolled into Chilliwack on Tuesday. Over $100,000 have been raised so far. Constable Adrian, who had his head shaved last year for that tour, did it again this year. And also on hand was musician Andrew Christopher. You might recall back in 2013, his daughter Lily Jean died from cancer, and there was a public outpouring of sympathy. Now, during his address to the cyclists, we discovered that yet another daughter had cancer, but she is now 1 year cancer-free. In honor of the survivors of Canada's residential schools, their families and communities, Cycling BC has launched an orange cycling jersey. Now, the net proceeds from the sale of the jerseys will be directed to charities and organizations that support residential school survivor groups across Canada. The jersey can be found at the Cycling BC website. Now, as we get closer to October, so does the annual awareness campaign ramping up, and that is Purple Light Nights. The goal is to have all residents shine a purple light on every front porch and every business window to send the message that violence is not tolerated. More information can be found on their Facebook page, Chilliwack Purple Light Nights. And after the break, we bring in Scott Fast as we deep dive into the election, followed by Matt Paisley and a deep dive on Chilliwack real estate. chillTV's News of the Week in conversation with a good friend of us all, UFE Poli-Sci Professor Emeritus Scott Fast. Scott, prior to the election, I threw the question at you, was this worthwhile to do? Was this out of bounds? Was it somewhere in between? We'll start off with the same question with a little caveat. $600 million, as I understand, for the cost of this election. Was it worth it? Was it a waste of time? Or was it somewhere in between for the country?
Well, I think the money is irrelevant here. The cost of democracy is the cost of democracy. It wasn't my favorite pick. I wondered why Trudeau did it. But on the other hand, for all the commentary that said, well, he didn't win and he hoped for a majority and what did he accomplish and everything ended up the same. Well, from his point of view, he's got 4 more years. I don't think he ever hoped he'd get a majority government. Oh, sure, he hoped, but I didn't think he had a chance of getting a majority government. And I figure he had a pretty good sense that what was going to happen is exactly what happened.
Well, so you mentioned majority government here, and it was brought up that 2 minorities in a row, he didn't get to do what his dad did, was come off of a minority and get a majority. Which leads me to leadership reviews. Aaron O'Toole's name has already been brought up, but there was a couple of articles out back east saying that is Justin Trudeau going to be under the microscope as leader, or is he fairly safe at least for 2 years?
Oh, he's safe through the next election. Loses the next election, they'll think about it. I think the commentators in general and many of the political scientists are among this. See more drama in this than there is. Frankly, I think Aaron O'Toole, just personally, how he came across, did an incredible job of attempting to transform that look of the Tories, and that has really continued to kind of make it easy for Justin Trudeau. Obviously, they need more than a new look, or at least more time to establish their new look. I would think it would be not very strategic for any of the parties really to change their leader after this election.
You bring that up, and Anime Paul was, for lack of a better term, annihilated in Toronto Centre. Marcy Ian, the former CTV broadcaster, has the seat. Anna May Paul, is she in trouble, or are they going to try and keep that ship going?
Oh, I think she's in trouble. I think she's in trouble. I don't understand all of the internal politics there, but there are too many. It's too bad after the wonderful, amazing job Elizabeth May did establishing the party and its credibility, to have too many people who are kind of playing with politics to really lead to a very difficult election for the Greens. I think that's one of the sad outcomes of this election.
People's Party of Canada, number-wise, didn't do too badly. Maxime Bernier didn't get his seat. Again, there was some interesting comments about the PPC comparing it to Reform. They're on their way up, but will they disappear, or will they be sticking around like the Bloc has stuck around for the last, since basically 75?
Well, the Bloc has its own very particular Quebec reason for being there and kind of staying there and even being in somewhat of a solid position there. I haven't looked at the hard numbers. It looked on some of the numbers election night where there might be some ridings. This is always a tough guess, but it looked like there were some ridings you could argue that the Conservatives lost seats because of the vote that went to the People's Party. I don't know. As long as the People's Party really turns on being more or less anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, anti-public health measures, I think this is the wrong country to be in for that. I don't think they're going to grow unless they're going to grow on some altogether different issues.
The Conservatives retook the Fraser Valley, but in Chilliwack, a flip from 2 to 3, where the NDP were number 2. Now, when we had this conversation a year ago with the provincial election, we were all quite stunned watching the NDP do this orange wave. John Lehn on election night said that was an anomaly. We see the NDP come up a little bit. Are they on the rise, at least in Chilliwack Hope? Does Mark Stroll have to keep an eye over his shoulder, or is this, again, just a trend?
Well, a number of things have happened. First, a lot of people have moved from the city to the valley. So the demographics in that sense has changed. That's one of the reasons there are more liberal or more new Democratic voters out here. Secondly, this doesn't sound too snippy, the university's been here 20 years, and at least for some people that makes a difference. They have a rather more cosmopolitan view of politics and a very local view of politics. And I don't think those trends are going to be reversed. I think if the party, as in Victoria, seems to be not screwing up and held to be doing a sound job, I expect that there will be a little bit more growth and support for the NDP in the Valley. There hasn't been enough in Abbotsford. Let's don't go into Abbotsford here. Yeah, the NDP in Abbotsford has its own kind of issues here.
Yeah. And speaking of Abbotsford, I'm a little concerned about voter fatigue because they got to go through all of this again on Saturday with a by-election for City Council. As always, Scott Fast, a pleasure talking to you. We will be talking again soon. I'm sure something will come up, and we'll sit back and analyze. Thanks again. Scott Fast, Professor Emeritus Poli-Sci of the University of the Fraser Valley. And you're watching chillTV's News of the Week. chillTV Sports, Agassiz Speedway is at the mercy of Mother Nature. Last Saturday's stock car race was rained out, so the championship race is still scheduled for this Saturday, although there is a rainout date for October the 2nd, and it's available just in case. The Vancouver Canucks will host the Calgary Flames at the Abbotsford Centre, part of the exhibition schedule for the big team. That is Monday, September the 27th, but it will be pricey, as tickets are anywhere from $72 to to $105. Last year, due to COVID, the Vancouver Motorcycle Show at TradeX was canceled. Organizers plan on having a live, in-person show this coming January, again at TradeX, from the 21st to the 23rd. And unfortunately for football fans, the Chilliwack Giants have had to cancel this week's Friday Night Lights game. Unfortunately, as we understand, the visiting team had to forfeit due to COVID concerns.
Hello, and thanks for watching The Welcome Mat, your Chilliwack real estate update. My name is Matt Paisley, and I'm here to provide you some direct insight on the local real estate market. What's happening, what's hot, where it's hot, and what's not. As your home is likely to be the biggest asset you'll ever buy or sell, I'd like to also be able to provide you some information on important things to consider. If you ever want to ask me any questions, I'm here for you, and we'll flash my contact info on the screen. This week in our viewer mailbag, we had a great question that I'm sure lots of people are wondering about. Carol from Chilliwack asks, can you tell me how our house prices went from an average of $307,000 in 2015 to $764,000 in 2021? Well, Carol, to answer your question, I thought I'd discuss the possible influences that could best explain this massive price increase. One common driver of home price increases can be larger time-scale infrastructure projects. Take, for example, the pipeline project in Hope. This has caused a large influx of out-of-town workers all looking for rental homes for the duration of the job. This brings investors to the area to try and capitalize on possible investment opportunities, causing a spike in home prices. However, Chilliwack has not had such a project, so it's fair to rule this out as a driver. I also considered how interest rates have behaved over the past 5 years. When the Bank of Canada sets interest rates at a high level, the cost of debt rises. When the cost of debt is high, it discourages people from borrowing and slows consumer demand. When the cost of debt is low, however, people are more likely to borrow, which can significantly increase that same consumer demand. This sounds more like what we're experiencing, so I looked at rates over this last time period, and in our case, posted rates have remained consistent for the past 5 years. In 2015, the average posted rate was 2.89%, compared to 2.79% so far in 2021. So although the rates are low, like the lack of large-scale projects, I don't believe that this is the biggest driver of price growth. So if it's not employment opportunity or interests that are driving home prices up, what is? I firmly believe it boils down to population increase. In 2010, the population of Chilliwack was 82,000 people. 5 years later, in 2015, the population actually only saw a modest increase to 84,000 people. And during that same time period, house prices remained stable and largely static in growth. However, from 2015 to 2020, our population increased by an astounding 16% to over 98,000 people. Those additional 14,000 people needed somewhere to live, and with the minimum amount of vacant inventory available for purchase or rent, something had to give. Real estate is a tangible asset made up of property and the land upon which it sits. And while it's unmovable, real estate, like other assets, is also subject to supply and demand. More demand, prices tend to rise. More supply, they tend to fall. As that 14,000 person increase was happening, demand was increasing and prices were climbing. So will this increase end? Between 2015 and 2020, the population of British Columbia increased by 13%. During the same time period, the population of Metro Vancouver increased by only 8%. So those numbers show that areas east of Metro Vancouver are seeing a higher proportional increase in new citizens compared to those looking to live in the city. Despite the huge increases we have seen locally in real estate prices, we are still significantly lower in price compared to homes as you travel west towards Vancouver. This price differential results in people looking to our community for more affordable home purchasing opportunities. Growth projections by the City of Chilliwack estimate that by 2040, our population could top 131,000 people. That's a 30% increase over our current population. Where will those people live? Until new homes are built and densification significantly increases, we will continue to see steady growth in the local housing market, resulting in increased prices. Well, that is all we have for today. I look forward to reading and hearing your feedback on today's topic. And don't forget, if there's a topic you want me to address that deals with real estate in Chilliwack, send me an email, give me a call, or shoot me a text. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, Chilliwack, and bye for now.
chillTV weather, the first weekend of autumn looks promising. Saturday is sunshine and 19, and then the showers are supposed to come back Sunday in the high of 18. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. That's the news this week. Enjoy this first weekend of fall. I'm Don Lehn.